afternoon, Nicholas Castelline, with his speech titled, Just Another Ism. Just Another Ism. Please make welcome Nicholas Castelline.
Hello. There's all kinds of people in this world. Industrious people, people who plod, lazy people, dog people, cat people, people, computer people. There's friendly people, happy people, perfect people, crazy people, irritating people, and there's analytical people. They're the people who look at all the other people to work out what type of people they are. Analytical people are always trying to find the thing behind the thing. And when they find it, they worry, is it the thing or is it just a thing? They get a bit thingy about that. They're always looking for a different perspective, a different way of viewing things. And when they find a perspective, they put it in a box and they give it a label that ends with ism. In addition to analytical people, there are over-analytical people, like me. Here's an example. Last year, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, made a statement. He said, and I am absolutely determined that I would rather die in a ditch than fail to achieve Brexit on the 31st of October 2019. Now, after he said that, a number of journalists, when the 31st of October came and went and Brexit hadn't happened, they asked him quite seriously, having failed to achieve Brexit, whether he was going to find a ditch and die in it like he promised. Now, an analytical person will take that statement and think about it. And that happened 9 months ago. I've been thinking about it ever since. Because Boris presented us with two propositions. The first proposition was a failure to achieve Brexit. The second proposition, dying in a ditch. And of course, he said that dying in a ditch was higher up in his value of hierarchies, or his hierarchy of values, than failing to achieve Brexit. Now, the journalists assumed that more than failing to achieve Brexit and more than dying in a ditch, he would rather fail to achieve Brexit and die in a ditch. Whereas any sensible person could tell that that would actually be at the bottom of the ditch, bottom of the list, bottom of the hierarchy of values. Now, an analytical person can analyse that statement and come up with that analysis, but an over-analytical person will look deeper. Why would a journalist ask a question like that? Why don't journalists care about the truth anymore? Why do they seem to see it as their professional duty to be obnoxious prats? Well, if you can avoid mistaking me for the cat in the hat for a moment, let me introduce you to two of my things. Thing one is probably the most interesting statistic that I know. Did you know that in the 1500s, approximately 60% of people worked in agriculture? And today, in the West, it's about 1.2%. That's a reduction of a factor of 50. And it leads us to ask the other 58.8% of people, what are they all doing? What are they all doing? What are they all doing? And what are they all doing? Well, obviously, some of them have been inventing more efficient ways of doing agriculture, hence the statistic. Some of them are driving trucks. I mean, they didn't have trucks in the 1500s, did they? Some of them have been inventing iPhones so that we can take photos of our breakfast and videos of our cats. Some of them have been watching all the other people to make sure that whatever they're doing it properly. Bureaucrats. And some of them, like me, have been watching all the other people and asking, what are they all doing? Thing two emerges when we consider what is the impact that this would have on our culture. Now, you can think of all the things that you believe as being like a big mountain. Any one belief sits on a number of other beliefs, sits on another number of other beliefs below that, and ultimately sits on some fundamental perspective of the world. Now, back in the 1500s, that fundamental perspective really would have been God. But as more and more people worked out of agriculture and in other analytical areas, the analysts, the over-analytical people really went a bit haywire. And they started thinking of shifting away the fundamentals away from that spiritual element, but more towards a material element. And they created a new way of looking at things, with science being the most fundamental perspective to take on the world. In the Victorian era, you know, Queen Victoria, she was the you know, the fat one with a foreign husband. So Queen Victoria, in her era, there were a lot of scientists and they were working on a whole lot of things. They came up with theory of evolution, and a new cultural phenomenon emerged called modernism. Modernism is fundamentally forward-looking because why would you look backwards when all you've got behind you are apes and pond scum? So looking forwards, we have movies like Interstellar, Transcendence, Limitless, and that's the modern movement. But through the 19th century, modernism really let a lot of people down. Apart from killing tens of millions of people, modernism also, sure, in 1984, it didn't give us Big Brother, but in 2001, it didn't exactly give us a space odyssey, and we still don't have hoverboards. So a lot of people wanted to react against modernism, and they came up with a really nifty new perspective. What if we build our belief mountains from the top down instead of the bottom up? And so they came up with the new one, the fit-for-purpose mountain that you can put wherever you jolly well want. So back in the 1500s, our universities were full of theologians. Then we filled them with scientists. And now we fill them with, well, idiots. So that's two things. And, you know, I think we've done it. I think that explains why reporters don't care about the truth anymore. Or have we? Is it the thing or is it a thing? Because let's face it, if you look through history, reporters have always been obnoxious prats. And people have always found some way of believing whatever they jolly well want to. So postmodernism, it's a thing. Is it the thing? I don't know. But it is another ism.